All right, NBA Cup is back in action tonight. Couple of bets. First one, Bucks, Pistons. Bucks giving 3.5 in some books, four in others. I like the Bucks here. There's a perception that the Bucks are kind of a floundering, mediocre team. The Pistons are this up and coming team with the young superstar and Kate Cunningham. The reality is this is a mismatch on paper and on the floor talent wise. In the Bucks, they're playing for something and they've been playing really well. The Pistons have been more up and down lately. Both of them, whoever wins this advances from the group play into the semifinals or quarterfinals or whatever it is, a cup play. I like the Bucks here. Giannis has been great lately. Dame has been much better. We talk about this a little bit in the pod later on today. I like the Bucks. Um, and if I was going to make a second bet, if you forced me to, I'd be looking at that Knicks Magic game. I think the Knicks just have more to play for. The Magic are not as good on the road as they are at home. The Knicks are given 4.5. I'd like the Knicks given 4.5 in that one, but probably something I'd stay clear of. One other bonus. Look, if you like me and you think the Bucks are going to win and they're going to cover, it might be worth looking at the Celtics odds to make the cup. Right now, they're plus 400 at DraftKings. I'm sure there are even better lines elsewhere if you look for it. It's probably not the worst idea if you're betting the Bucks tonight to win and you think they're going to cover that plus 4 or plus 3.5. They need to win by more than 6 for the Celtics to advance. So we're just talking another bucket. It's probably worth sprinkling a little on the Celtics to qualify.
You're listening to
They're going to call it a hard foul. They're going to call it a hard foul.
Mike, Payton Pritchard goes nuts. We see the results of 5 games and 7 nights or 7 days or whatever it is, and the usual outcome for NBA teams. And we're gonna have a new segment on. They're gonna call it a hard foul, where we're gonna ask advice from Mike, and maybe in other episodes Mike can ask me advice. But I'm gonna hit him with a question he's not ready for later on in this show, and we're gonna request that you send questions to the show or advice questions or any questions at all for future episodes. Mike, last night looked like a game, especially in the third quarter, that two teams didn't want to play.
You said they looked like a game. Oh, because in the third quarter?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Not the first half. Oh yeah. What did the Celtics have? What end up being 9 or 10 turnovers in the third quarter? Tatum had 6 of them. Am I right? Is that?
Yeah, they had 9. And Tatum had 6 for the game. I don't know what his total was overall. They only had 2 in the first half, but it looked like, the Celtics wanted to do everything they could to keep Miami in the game. And Miami was kind of like, no, fuck it. We still don't want to win. We just want to go home. 9 turnovers, and the Celtics still won the quarter by 7, which is just, I don't know what it really tells you other than the fact that 5 games in 7 nights is absolutely brutal on NBA teams.
Yeah. I mean, Miami had a real hard time making open looks. Duncan Robinson had a bunch of open looks in that third quarter that he couldn't hit. I think he went 0 for 6 from 3 for the game, which is I don't know how many times he's done that in his career. So that certainly helped the Celtics keep their lead. But I think the Celtics were trying to coast. I think they were trying to coast after they dominated the first half, and they kind of knew Miami just didn't have the legs. So they did what this team does coming off a championship. They were looking to coast in the second half, and for the first couple minutes they did, and then for the remainder of that third quarter after Joe's timeout, or maybe he laid into him, they came out playing really hard defense, and their offense picked up from there. I thought the Celtics had the distinct advantage that specifically Jaylen Brown and Derek White had fresh legs because they both played really well last night. It was Tatum who really struggled, and then obviously we'll get into the professor there, Payton Pritchard, and what he's doing, and Luke Cornett and his ability to just play like an all-star against Miami.
Yeah, no, we should definitely get into Luke Cornett. Whatever was ailing Jaylen Brown certainly wasn't there anymore. You know, he missed the Cleveland game with sickness, and we should probably touch on that Cleveland game a little bit.
Oh yeah,
But he was great. You know, 30 plus points, I think, particularly in that third quarter when the Celtics really needed someone to provide offense. He certainly did. In a game where you didn't have Hauser, you didn't have Holiday, you didn't have Horford, and you didn't have Porzingis, so four of your rotation players were not available, and Brown and Tatum certainly was struggling. Brown provided what they needed, and you know looked like a guy that was fresh. And Derek White, you know, per usual, gave you a Derek White performance. The two guys, though, Mike, and you brought them both up, and you can hit on whoever you want to first. One guy that's on an absolute heater, especially over these last three games, and Payton Pritchard, and really all season.
Professor.
The Professor. Is that his nickname now?
I'm giving it to him. He reminds me of the And One mixtape kid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He does, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He does. And, you know, last year he kind of came into his own, had this like buzzer beater thing going. This year is just, and I might have been wrong about him, Mike. Earlier this season on the pod, you brought up that he could give you minutes in the playoffs, and I kind of poo-pooed it as a guy that, because of his size, would be taken advantage of defensively, and I still think that is the case to some extent. But his offense that he provides kind of overcomes that, and we won't have to hide him as much because he's such a weapon on the other end. And then there's Luke Cornett. So you can hit where you want here, and I'll follow up, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, you think? I mean, this guy is going to the basket and finishing at the hoop now. Like, he's doing it against centers and small forwards. His buzzer beater last night to end the half. That layup was incredible. Yeah. His footwork is off the charts.
That was a Jaylen Brown move. You know, the step through that he was doing so well last year in the playoffs and the finals. And you saw Pritchard kind of incorporate that in the buzzer beater last night.
Yeah, I mean, they got to invite him to All-Star Weekend to do that that contest that they do. It's the skills competition.
Oh, you don't think he should be in the three-point competition the way he's shooting?
I'd rather watch him in the skills competition just with, you know, his ability, like his ball handling is like, it's off the charts, and he does it so fast. And a game earlier this season where he stole the ball in the fast break, and he had that alley-oop to Porzingis where he crossed up a guy going full speed. No hesitation, didn't slow down at all. It's you know, forget sixth man of the year. This guy he's a real weapon. He's a real weapon. And yeah, I don't see how he doesn't get minutes in the playoffs if he's scoring like this, because he's not just hitting threes, deep threes. He's doing other things too with his passing, and again, his offensive rebounding, which is stuff we saw last year, but finishing at the hoop is, for a guy his size, it's just incredible.
Yeah, I mean, everything's like a career high right now. He's averaging over 16 points a game. He's shooting over 40, almost 49% from the field, over 43% from three. He's averaging over a steal per game. He is just, the only thing that, you know, is down a little bit is his assist total from last season, but not by much. Yeah, he's been awesome. And how about his fourth quarters in the last two games against the Cavs and then whoever they beat previous to that? I'm drawing the Bulls. Where it's 19 points and 17 points. And particularly in both games, they really needed it, and particularly against the Cavs when, you know, you didn't have Jaylen Brown available or Derek White, and then the Bulls, you didn't have Derek White available. He kind of stepped up, not just kind of, he did it in a huge way in both games where they really needed it. And in the Cavs game, no one else was making shots in that fourth quarter, really, other than him.
Yeah, it's so different than, I think it was last year where it was like the first 5 or 6 games of the season, he didn't even hit a three, right? Remember?
Yeah, it was a struggle last year to start the season.
Yeah, it's such a difference. Jim, I mean, this guy, that extension that he got, I mean,
it's a bargain.
Big time, right?
It's a bargain. Yeah, what, 3 seasons out or 2.5 seasons out where he requested a trade, and Brad refused it, right? And you look back at all the moves that Stevens has made when you combined not trading him and the extension he gave him, and where the Celtics are salary-wise, that looks both those moves look pretty goddamn smart right now, don't they?
Oh, big time. I remember we were on the pod, like, get rid of him, you know? If he wants out of here, trade him. I'm glad that Brad didn't do that because he's obviously extremely valuable right now. They need him. Holiday's not shooting the ball really well, and Pritchard has really picked that up big time.
He sure has. He sure has. And, he gives you ball pressure when he comes into the game, too. And just his shot making and the distance that he shoots from is really impressive. And not to mention, Mike, and you've brought this up more than once, is his ability to score down low. It's become part of the package. And the strength he has and the balance he has to get to the spot that he wants and be able to finish. It's very Holiday-like in that aspect where he can finish on bigger guys and be able to get to exactly where he wants on the floor against bigger guys as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of teams that would love to have him right now. So,
for sure.
What a luxury for the Celtics, yeah. And then, I don't know. Is there anything else you want to say about the professor?
No, I think that covers it. Your guy Luke Cornett, he was excellent again. I think what I'm going to start doing, Mike, is I'm going to email the Celtics press department every day and just ask them if we could get Luke on the pod.
You see his quote? Did you see his quote after the game?
No, what did he say?
They were asking him about him and Derek White's block shots, and he said something like, "Yeah, when you're used to getting rejected your whole life, I guess you become a good shot blocker," or something like that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What did he finish with? 6 last night?
Yeah, 6. One short of his career high. Yeah.
Well, we talked about it on the pod last year that they figured out with their bigs, and it was Porzingis who figured it out before he got hurt in that series in the playoffs against Miami, how to kind of disrupt Bam Adebayo. And it was to give him room and then close late without fouling. Not a lot of room, but enough room. You didn't want to body him up. You didn't want to come out and really contest him because you were so much taller that you could close late and it was going to bother him. And Cornett.
That's why Miami needs a center.
Yeah,
Miami needs a center. They need to put Bam at the 4. I don't get it. I know they drafted a big in the first round. He must not be good enough to play, or I don't know if he's hurt last night. But Pat Riley did nothing this offseason. He did nothing. He just came back with the same team. I know he didn't have a lot of flexibility, but he could have brought somebody in, whether it would have been like a Plumlee or something to play next to Bam. And Luke needs to play. I know that we've talked a lot about Kata's development, but this is kind of the consistency that Luke brings. He blocked Donovan Mitchell the night before and gave him the Dikembe Mutombo finger wave.
Mitchell might have got a last laugh in that game, though.
He sure did. But Luke brings it consistently, being in the right dunker spot. The defense is better with him out there. I know he went to Luke over Kata against Cleveland. It didn't kill me. I think I'm on the side if you got to play Luke every night. I think he brings so much to the floor. I mean, he threw another couple passes last night to White, and Kata did too, actually, to wide open shooters. The Celtics are deep at center. And they know how to use them well in a league that doesn't really value that position much anymore.
And Kata, for his part, played well, not at Luke's level, but he played well again last night. So we're talking 2 straight games where he's been pretty goddamn good as well. No, Luke was excellent. Miami's a good matchup for him. And he did give them something against Cleveland the night before, a game that the Celtics kind of get away from them. I thought it was more of Cleveland kind of taking it from them, though. The Celtics had the inability to kind of make open shots in the fourth quarter, and Cleveland made theirs. Where you flip the script, that was kind of the case in the third quarter. The Celtics made theirs, the Cleveland didn't. I even think some of the defense in the fourth quarter the Celtics had was pretty good. And, Donovan Mitchell was just out making, tough contested shots. And it happens. It happens sometimes. And I think it's a situation where you really miss a guy like Derek White and Jaylen Brown down the stretch. That gives you some added out offensive punch. I thought Porzingis in the fourth quarter looked really kind of winded, if I'm being fair about this. I just don't think he looked that great. And Tatum, I thought missed some makeable shots, including a layup with Garland covering him in the fourth quarter. And Cleveland didn't. They just flat did not miss shots, and most of that was Donovan Mitchell in that fourth quarter. And credit to them. They deserve all the credit for taking that from the Celtics, in particular Donovan Mitchell, who just continues to kill the Celtics anytime, especially when he's at home.
Oh, yeah. He certainly does kill the Celtics. He had only made 2 field goals in the first half. And then, of course, he scored 11 straight points in the fourth quarter and made his free throws. He didn't miss a shot in the fourth quarter. And on the other end, Celtics were up 9 when Tatum came back into the game. And when Tatum came back in, he had a 3 rim out.
Yeah.
Then Hauser had a 3 rim out.
Yeah.
2 wide open looks, and then Pritchard had a 2 rim out. Those were 3 possessions. Where all 3 of those shots were open and looked good.
And then Tatum missed a layup with under a minute to go.
Later in the game, Tatum missed. That was huge. That was a 2-point game when he missed that, and then of course Cleveland got the dunk. But also in that fourth quarter, Al Horford had 2 wide open threes that he missed. I saw a lot of.
I didn't think the offense was bad.
I saw a lot on Twitter saying that the offense wasn't good and that they slowed down. And to me, it was the opposite. I thought there was ball movement and missed opportunities. That's what it was to me.
I think
it wasn't like that third quarter against Miami where they were just throwing the ball to the other team.
Yeah, no. I thought Missoula hit on it well after the game where he said anytime you get Al 8 to 10 open looks like that, you probably move the ball really well.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you got matchups you wanted. Down the stretch, you got Tatum on Garland, and they just didn't execute enough. And that was it. There was a stretch where they were making shots, and it looked like they were building the lead, but they were making 2s, and Mitchell was coming down and hitting 3s. And the next thing you know, the math didn't work, and that lead evaporated. Mitchell made 3 straight 3s, right? And
and I thought the officiating
shots. That was it.
I thought the officiating impacted the game too. Cleveland was.
I thought the officiating was awful. Yeah, that's a good thing.
Cleveland was allowed to really foul Porzingis on the post, which I don't think is fair. When the guy's shooting the ball and people are hitting his arms, it's a foul.
Yeah,
they stepped on his foot when he was shooting it several times, twice on a 3, and once on a post jump shot. And I thought we were protecting the players.
Well, and what I'd like to see, Mike, is what the hell's going on with NBC Sports Boston? Like, you have all these calls where they're either making the whistle or they're not blowing the whistle, and we don't get a replay. So in real time, it looks like a foul. But we also know a lot of times in real time, it's tough for us to see as a TV viewer, and then we see it on a replay and we say, "Oh gosh, actually the ref got that right." That was what was so much fun about Tommy is he would go nuts, and then they would show the replay, and of course, like Gorman would throw his sarcasm in because Tommy got it completely wrong. There was no foul. These no calls looked like fouls in real time. I'd love some confirmation with the replay. There was a goaltend it looked like at the end of the third quarter that Scal went nuts about. There was no replay on. I don't know if you remember that, where it was.
I do, yeah.
Yeah.
I think on that one, though, Jim, there wasn't a pause and play on the goaltend. The game just kept going.
But it was the end of the quarter. You could have came back at the start of the fourth and showed that on replay.
Showed something, yeah.
Yeah, you could have showed. I mean, Tatum at the end of the first quarter, it looked like he was fouled on his 3. You could have come back at the start of the second quarter. As a viewer, as a fan of the team, I just want to know what actually happened. And then to sit there, and that might not have been a goaltend, which is fine. Great play by Cleveland. But can we see it?
Yeah.
And were the officials as bad as I thought they were? Or is it just, my confirmation bias for the Celtics, where I think they were bad? I don't know.
They were terrible. They
Yeah.
were terrible. I'll tell you who wasn't terrible, and it's a nice little development over the last 2 games, is Drew Peterson.
Yeah. Got about
He
him.
can defend.
Yep.
He can defend. He has long arms. He was getting out on guys. I don't know, Jim. I think this is a guy they might want to have stick around. I like him. He looked good last night. He's got a nice little 3-point shot. But he knows how to use his body. He rebounds well. I don't think this is a guy that's going to develop more down the G League. I think he's an NBA player. And with that 15th roster spot, I'd seriously consider it, because I think he's a value add with the way he gets out and defends people and how long he is. I'm really, really impressed with what I've seen from him in the 2 games he's been playing.
Yeah, I think he's been really good. I don't think you're going to see anything move him off his 2-way. The numbers just don't work financially right now. There's no reason to do it. There's not like there's a rotation for him at the moment. If there's an injury or something that down the line, then you have him available. You have him available for 41 games that you can play him anyways. So I think he'll remain on that 2-way. And, you saw it similar with Cater last year. They had him on the 2-way. They balanced that. And then by the end of the season, they gave him the promotion. So I could certainly see that happening. What was interesting is Hauser, I thought, played really well yesterday. I mean, against Cleveland, not last night. He wasn't available last night for personal reasons, but he played, I thought, one of his best games of the season, not just his shooting, but just an all-around really good game from Hauser against Cleveland. And maybe that had something to do with Sam Hauser Jr., Peterson out there shooting well and playing well. I'm only kidding, but, but I don't think you'll see him move off that 2-way. It just doesn't make any financial sense. And, he would just be kind of sitting on the bench anyways if he was up with the team all the time.
Yeah, but I think he's a player. I think they have something there.
Yeah, oh yeah, and it's great. It's great because if you look at the development, Hauser went this way, you had Cater go this way, and then if Peterson, and he becomes a rotational player in 1 or 2 seasons from now, good God, that's better than drafting in some ways. So, and it was good to see, Walsh and Scheimer out there yesterday. I think both showed that the game speed and strength and all, they both have ways to go to, be contributors to this team.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're far off.
Mike, you got a brutal schedule coming up for the Celtics this week. They got tonight off. Then they have the Pistons, who will be coming off a back-to-back themselves, and really an emotional type game to get into the Cup qualifying rounds or playoff rounds, whatever you want to call them, against the Bucks tonight. And then you have...
It looks like the injury bug has hit the Pistons a little bit. Cade Cunningham's games played have been really inconsistent recently.
Yeah, I think he'll play tonight. Whether he plays against the Celtics, on Wednesday is, I think, an open question. But
he's been really good when he plays, him and Ivy, yeah.
Then you have another back-to-back to end this week, which will be 5-7 for the Celtics. And the rule in the NBA on 5-7, don't really expect much to go well. I think if you really want to bet in this world, in this league, look at teams that are playing 5-7, and no matter what the number is, bet it. Last night it was 9.5 for the Celtics and 7.5 for Minnesota. Minnesota killed the Lakers, but I think by like 25. The Celtics obviously did their work against the Heat. So, I mean, time and time again, that just proves to be true. Don't bet if you don't want to, but if you want some advice, there's our advice for the day.
Yeah, I think Memphis is going to, that's a good game to just play the backups on Sunday against Memphis. I would go all in against Detroit. I would go all in against Milwaukee. The reason I'm going to go all in against Milwaukee, too, is because I'm pretty sure Milwaukee's going to be coming in on like a 10-game winning streak.
Yeah.
Let's end their winning streak.
Yeah, though that would be fun and sweet and all those things, and
Yeah.
continue to show. I mean, that would mean you'd sweep Miami for this. I'm sorry, Milwaukee for the season too, because this is actually the last game. Last time you play in the Bucks all season, which is
They don't play him 4 times this week?
no stupid schedule and quirk, but this is it. This is the last game you play against them all year. And there was
So take care of business against them. I would.
I thought there was some bad feelings the last time those two teams played too. I think there was some stuff with Giannis of the Celtics I haven't forgot about.
Yep.
So
What he's doing right now?
Yeah, he's been amazing. He's been amazing.
His numbers are like off the charts.
And Dame is playing better as well.
Yeah. Now their competition.
Yes.
I think it has a little bit to do with it. So they haven't played. They haven't played Orlando, the Knicks, the Celtics, or Cleveland during this stretch.
Right.
So I think their real test for Milwaukee is on Saturday night.
Right.
Where's that game being played?
It's in Boston. The Celtics, the next 3 are all
take care of business on Saturday.
Yeah, the good thing for the Celtics is that they're not traveling over these next 3. So that certainly helps when you get 5 and 7.
But Sunday's going to be a bloodbath. Ja Morant's back and playing well. Memphis has one of the better offenses in the NBA. They're going to – I don't know what their schedule looks like, but I'm pretty sure it's not what the Celtics have. I would go all in these next 2 and then take guys out against Memphis.
Yeah, I could see that. Mike, anything else to add over these last couple games? Any care about the Celtics, Cup at all?
I don't know if I'm wrong about what I heard on telecast last night, but it sounded like if the Celtics make the Cup, it adds a game to their schedule next week. So like they would come off their 5 and 7 and then play Orlando next Tuesday. If that's the case, I don't want them to get in.
I think they play no matter what next week.
Yeah, but they don't. They have like 3 days off in their schedule currently.
Yeah, like every team in the league has like a gap in their schedule because if you don't make the Cup, if you remember last season, they got the Knicks after they lost to the Pacers. That wasn't originally scheduled there. So it's like a similar situation. So there'll be a game added. What that is and where it is, I don't know. Where you get an extra game is if you go all the way to Vegas and you play in the championship.
Which I don't mind that. I'm just saying, if they're coming off 5 games in 7 days, they need next Tuesday night off too. Like they need that break. They don't need another game thrown in.
I think they'll have a game regardless. Whether it's Tuesday night or not, I don't know. But they're going to have another game added anyways.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yep. No.
Yeah, their schedule. It's after this they play the Bulls.
Well, they have Friday, Saturday. They play Friday, Saturday, so they'd have Sunday, Monday off no matter what.
Yeah, their schedule gets tough.
Yeah.
Up until the All-Star break, they got a West Coast trip thrown in there. A couple tough back-to-backs. It's a pretty brutal stretch here up until the All-Star break for the Celtics. Yeah.
No, and they'll manage it. They'll win more than we expect them to because they win 800, the 800 winning percentage, over the last season and a half has been, remarkably consistent. Mike, we gave a little advice to the Celtics throughout this pod. We're going to add a new feature to the pod. We ask you for advice, and if you want to ask me for advice at a future one, if you can think of the question. And so here is our segment, and we should, eventually get music or some weird intro to this, but advice from Mike. And Mike, I stole this right off an advice column. He has not heard this question ahead of time.
Okay.
All right. I went to slate.com, and they have an advice column. I stole it right from there. Are you ready?
Lame. Okay.
My husband, people believe he was killed in a horrible accident. He wasn't. What should I do? So this.
Are you serious?
Yes. So
Mike,
that was the advice question. Obviously, he was not killed in a horrible accident. How he was killed remains a mystery. This woman or man, his former spouse,
we don't know what it is.
Lying to the people she loves about
this makes
how
a big
he
deal.
was killed. So what do you do here, Mike? What's the advice you give this spouse in distress?
How does this spouse know that her husband or how do they know that the husband wasn't killed in a car accident?
Well, obviously he or she knows. If they're asking the question. You don't know that. I mean, this is just the advice question you're getting. It's open-ended.
Well,
I mean, maybe he or she murdered their husband.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
I watch a lot of murder porn on ID. I don't know if you watch ID. It's a great channel where you can get all your murder porn episodes where they talk about, different murder mysteries. My wife and I, we love to listen to 60-minute podcasts, whatever they're called.
Yeah.
And so, I think she did it. That's what I think. I think my advice to her is to be quiet, hunker down. The cops are probably already investigating you, and they're going to use your words against you. But if she didn't do it, my advice would be, a lot of these people, they call a independent investigator, so she can afford it. Bring in your own investigator to do some independent stuff, and then try to publicize it. There's a lot of podcasts out there now that go in and solve unsolved mysteries. I just listened to one. A man was accused of murder down south, and he was innocent, and it was a podcast that brought attention to it. He was on murder row for like 20 years, and this podcast got him out. This guy, Payton Lindsay, does a podcast. It's really good. Solving unsolved mysteries, if a body's missing or whatever. So she thinks something more mysterious happened to her husband, or something
Well, what
horrible.
if it wasn't murder?
What do you mean?
Of
Of course it was murder. This is America.
What if he was having an affair and, during intimacy, he had a heart attack?
Yeah, I mean, there's a million things. What if he walked off?
Then again, like, why, if it was a horrible accident, he wouldn't look like he was in horrible shape if it was just a heart attack, right? So people would know that.
Yeah, I think it's hard to give advice when you don't have the details.
So what is your final advice? You've gone through like different aspects. Your advice is just keep your mouth shut?
No, I would call it an independent investigator. I would bring in your own investigation if you think, your husband didn't actually die in an accident.
It sounds like she knows. If she's asking this question. Yeah, I mean, she knows how he died. If she's asking this question, she says, people think he was killed in a horrible accident, but he wasn't. What should I do?
Tell the police.
What should I tell them? Like, should
Tell them what happened.
It sounds like what she's asking you, Mike, is should she tell people what actually happened or not?
Yeah,
like
she should tell
the other loved ones and friends.
Yes, she should. She should tell them, especially if she's guilty, because she needs to cleanse her soul so she doesn't rot in hell. That's for damn sure. I'll tell you that right now, because somebody's watching. There's somebody else who knows. I think we all know who that person is, so she better be careful.
All right, so Mike's advice is tell people and be careful.
Yeah.
That seems like, it's two competing things if you believe that she committed murder like you do. Being careful will probably just keep your mouth shut. But you wanted to do both. So this is I don't know if this is the best advice, but
I think it is, because you can enjoy your freedom now, or you can have an eternity in hell. So she's got a decision to make, bro. Like, does she want to be forgiven, or does she want to spend her time with Beelzebub down in the burning flames of hell?
Yeah.
I just think of Will Ferrell down there, dressed up in his devil suit, waiting for her.
So we're gonna end the pod with Mike's advice is to avoid hell. Avoid hell.
Absolutely.
Avoid hell. It's Mike's advice.
Ask for forgiveness. Come out
Ask
clean.
for forgiveness. Forgiveness.
Now, if we're gonna do this segment, you can't. You have to have more You have to have more information, Jeff. Yeah,
That's not how advice columns work, Mike.
yeah. Well, a little bit they do
Not how advice-
actually.
So
Usually, people give more information in advice column. Like it'll say, like, my husband leaves his socks out every day, and I've been trying to talk to him about it. He doesn't.
If you want to be a
listen
pro
me.
at this, you can have stipulations.
I don't wanna-
So we're going to ask for your questions, folks. We're going to ask if you have just any question. You know, it could be about politics, world history, the Celtics, or it could be advice, like we just did now.
No,
And
no.
we'll ask
I'm
Mike
not
about
answering
it.
questions about politics.
We'll ask Mike
Crazy.
his thoughts, and he will answer questions about politics if you have it. Mike, we got to close the show. Any last thoughts for the woman or man out there who wants to, you know, continue to lie about the death of their husband or anything else?
Yeah, stop, drop, kaboom. Payton Pritchard rubs on his nipples.
Talk to everyone
Professor's
soon.
going off. Let's go.